containing an attempt to recover and reconstitute the lost origins of the myths and mysteries, types and symbols, religion and language, with Egypt for the mouthpiece and Africa as the birthplace.
Okay, welcome to our Myth Wisdom. Today's topic is Baal is Yahweh. So before we get into that though, we're going to take a listen to Sam Shamoun, who was the one that, this video is a response to his video where he spoke about the fact that he believed that Baal is worshipped in Islam as God, or that Islam is Baal or Baal or Baal, whichever way you pronounce it. He's saying that Islam is Baal worship. So let's take a listen, to what Sam has to say, right? And then once he finishes his spiel, we're going to take it from there.
As you can see, the title is quite controversial. The Muslims are going to be upset. Let me tell you what I'm not saying. I am not saying that Muslims knowingly worship the false god Baal. If you're familiar with the Old Testament, you will note that the main competitor for the worship and allegiance of the Israelites was the false god Baal. All throughout the Old Testament, you'll find God chastening, disciplining, rebuking, punishing, even exiling his people for their habitual habit of turning to the false god Baal. The name Baal also pops out in the New Testament under the name Beelzebub. If you read Mark 3, for instance, 22 all the way 30, the Jews accused Jesus of casting out demons by Beelzebub, the prince of demons. The word Baal means Lord, husband, or master. This was the main chief competitor that Satan used to get the Israelites to forsake God, their love for God, a devotion to God, and worship this false god. In fact, Baal is simply Satan's disguise. Because if you go with what the Jews said, Mark 3, 22 to 30, Beelzebub is the prince of demons, but the prince of demons would be Satan. So here, if the Jews are right and Jesus didn't correct them, that means Beelzebub, Baal, is simply another name of Satan, because there's only one ruler of demons, Satan. He rules the kingdom of darkness. All evil spirits are subject to him. So if Beelzebub is the ruler of demons, then that means that's another name for Satan, because Satan has various names. Satan, the devil, Belial, Beliar, the serpent, the dragon. These are his names. So that means Baal is simply Satan appearing as a god in order to mislead people from worshiping the true God. Now, if that's true, Allah is simply another name for Baal, and Islam is simply another form of Baal worship, then that actually further confirms Islam is the religion of the devil. It's Satan's religion that Satan inspired through Muhammad to be the competitor against Judeo-Christianity. And
We're going to take a look at this Baal that he's talking about. He's claiming that they worship Baal, okay? And he also mentioned that the Israelites, that Baal was one of the chief adversary to Yahweh in the Bible, which, is true to a certain extent. But let's look at this. So he's claiming that the Islam worship Baal, but he's not using the Quran and he's not using the Hadith to make that, to prove that. Here, I'm going to use the Bible, okay, to prove that the Israelites worship Baal, and that nothing has changed, basically. Okay? So, and we're going to show you that Baal is the religion of the Israelites. Okay? So what he's accusing the Muslims of doing is what he's actually doing as a Christian or as a Hebrew. If he was a Hebrew, they worship Baal according to their own Bible. Okay? So let's take a look at it. All right, so let's take a quick look. So here we see that this word Baaliah equal, it says, if you translate this word into English, it means that Baal is Yahweh. Also, we see that in this, in a particular passage in the Bible, we're going to get to that in a few minutes, but it says Baal Ayada, meaning Baal knows. This is one of the sons of David. Over here, Eshbaal, man of Baal. This is Saul's son. Okay? And here we see Hosea 2:16, it says thou shalt call me Ishi, and thou shalt call me Baal no more. So here we see that the Israelites are calling God by the name of Baal. Okay, they're worshiping God under the name of Baal, and he tells them, listen, our Baal is telling them, listen, I'm changing my name to Ishi, so don't call me Baal anymore. My name is now Ishi. I'm changing it from Baal to Ishi. So this is what we see here. So let's, take a quick look. Let's look at some definitions. Okay, so we're going to go and look here where it says here, theophany in the Bible, because that's what we're talking about, right? Theophany is the practice of embedding the name of a god or a deity in a proper name in the Bible, okay? This is what theophany is. And as we see here, Baal Ayada, that's theophany. That means you're embedding the name of a god in a proper name. So this is the name of David's son, Baal Ayada. And so this is the name of Saul's son, Eshbaal. So Eshbaal means man of Baal. So this is a theophoric name. Eshbaal is a theophoric name. So instead of saying Esh Yahweh, is saying Eshbaal, right? Meaning man of Baal. So here we have Saul, okay, the king, as well as David, the soon-to-be king, both of them naming their sons, are dedicating their sons to Baal. So the question you have to ask yourself is this: if they're worshiping Yahweh, why are they dedicating their sons to Baal? And so if we look, we'll see certain things. So here, it says the term Baal appears in various biblical names that include the suffix aya or el, which also refers to God. Here is a list of names where Baal is attached to Yah or El, indicating a theophoric element. So it's theophany, right? Theophoric element. See that right there? Okay, so here we have Baaliah. Now, this is actually saying, it's not saying Baaliah, it's actually saying Baaliah. Okay, but the writers in the Old Testament, they try to change the name of Baal to reflect, like, they don't want you people to know that it was worshiping Baal, so they change it to something like, a lot of instances, they change Baal to bullshit, meaning shame. Okay, they change it from, like, for example, they changed Meribaal's name to Mephibosheth, meaning shame. Okay, so here we are looking at some of the theophoric names with Baal, right? So we have Baaliah, which is one of the soldiers in David's army. His name is Yahweh is Baal. So they say his name means Yahweh is Baal. So here we have one of the soldiers of David named Baaliah. Okay? Very interesting. So here, Eshbaal, meaning man of Baal. This name refers to one of Saul's sons and is found in 1 Chronicles 8:23 and 2 Samuel 2:10. We also have Meribaal, meaning the Lord contends, or Baal contends. Actually, it means contender for Baal, or contending for Baal, a fighter for Baal. So the name refers to the son of Jonathan, grandson of Saul, mentioned in 2 Samuel 4:4 and 1 Chronicles 9:40. Baal, meaning Baal contends. I never contend. Again, here it is, Meribaal and Zerubbaal, Baal contends, okay? So again, this is another name for Gideon in the Bible, so Gideon, his original name before they changed it to Gideon was Meribaal, okay? This is found in Judges 6:32 and Judges 7:1. Baaliah, which is actually Baaliah, as I showed you in that image, meaning Baal knows. This name is associated with one of David's sons, referenced in 1 Chronicles 4:7. So here we are seeing that all of these names, David is naming his son after Baal, dedicating his son to Baal. Saul is dedicating his son to Baal. So if they're dedicating their son to Baal, how are they worshiping Yahweh? So according to Samson, Baal is Satan. Right? This is what Samson says. Baal is the prince of the demons. So why is David naming his son after the prince of demons unless he worshiped the prince of demons? So here, this is something that Samson is going to have to explain. I mean, this is clear. It's unambiguous. There's nothing, all of these names dedicated to Baal, all of these guys are basically worshippers of Baal. But again, if we look at this name here, Baaliah, it states clearly that Yahweh is Baal. And then when you connect the fact that Yahweh is Baal to this fact right here, thou shalt call me Ishi, and thou shalt call me Baal no more. Hosea 2:16. Then it makes a lot of sense. So the Israelites saw there was no difference between Baal and Yahweh. He was the same person as far as the Israelites are concerned. As far as David was concerned, which is why he named his son Baaliah. Okay, I mean Baaliah. And Saul named his son, his grandson Meribaal. So all of these Israelites in the time of David was basically worshiping Baal and naming the children after Baal. And then later on in the scriptures, the writers of the scriptures or the translators try to change certain names to hide the fact that they were named after Baal, as we saw in here, in Jeribaal, where his name was changed to Gideon, and where Meribaal, his name was changed to Mephibosheth. So let's take a quick look here. Okay, so here we're gonna find out who was Baaliah, which is actually Baaliah, but they're trying to hide it by naming it Baal, B-E-A-L instead of B-A-A-L. But this name Baaliah is actually Baaliah. So let's see who Baaliah was. So Baaliah is a minor biblical figure mentioned in the Old Testament, specifically in 1 Chronicles 12:5. He's recognized as one of the mighty men who joined David at Ziklag during a tumultuous period when David was fleeing King Saul. The name Baaliah in Hebrew translates to "the Lord is Baal." So David had a soldier, one of the mighty men in his army, whose name is Baaliah, or, Yahweh is Baal, or the Lord is Baal. Okay, Yahweh is Baal. And, he's in David's army. And so you think this man is a mighty guy, a mighty soldier in David's army. He's going around with a name of Satan, according to Samson, right? Baal is Satan. So he's going around with the name of Satan attached to his name, and nobody says anything, nobody does anything. Not only that, David's son named his son after Satan. Okay, Baal, according to Samson, because according to Samson, Baal is Satan. Okay, and if you worship in Baal, you worship in Satan. So here we have David, Saul, and you have men in the service of David with the name Baal, according to Samson, that's Satan. So let's take a closer look. To look at its etymology of Baaliah, here it is. We have it here. The name consists of two common elements. The first part is identical to the name Baal, and that name comes from the common Hebrew verb Baal, meaning to rule or to possess. So the deity, remember, this is a theophoric name, okay? Let's look at theophany again. Theophany in the Bible. Theophany is the practice of embedding the name of a god or a deity, usually a proper name. So for those people who are going to try to tell you that Baal means Lord, or it means master or ruler. Yeah, it means master or ruler in the theological sense, okay? Because it's theophany. So in the theological sense, Baal is the ruler. So they're naming Baal as their ruler and as their god. And this is what is showing you that in the Hebrew scriptures, Baal is Yahweh. This is what the name is saying. So let's dig a little deeper. We're going to go, let's look at this little we're going to look at a certain chapter or verse in the Bible. So Baal Perazim, this word Baal Perazim, ancient place in Israel, right? But it says here, Baal Perazim is a significant biblical location named by King David. So this location, Baal Perazim, is a significant biblical location named by King David. He named it Baal Perazim. Let's see what that means. So, Baal Perazim is a significant biblical location named by King David after a decisive victory over the Philistine. The name itself translates to Lord of the Breakthrough. Baal Perazim means Lord of the Breakthrough or possessor of breaches, reflecting the context of the battle and the divine intervention that led to David's success. So, divine intervention led to David's success at Baal Perazim. So instead of naming the place Yahweh Perazim, he named it Baal Perazim. And this divine, because of the divine intervention. So the divine intervention was Baal, not Yahweh, according to David. Right? So because he named it Baal Perazim, not Yahweh Perazim. Right? So, so again, we're seeing that the Israelites are worshiping Baal. But here it says that, the Lord of the Breakthrough. And when the Lord that they're talking about here is Baal, not Yahweh. Baal. So David named this place Baal Perazim. Why would you name a place after Satan? This is a question I'd have to ask David and Sam Shamoon. So, Sam is going to have to answer this question. Why is David naming this place Perazim after Satan or the devil, according to him? So again, more questions for Sam Shamoon. So, this, is indisputable. According to the scriptures, David worshipped Baal. Baal was Yahweh as far as they were concerned. And, it is what it is. So let's take a closer look at this 2 Samuel 5:20, where, and David came to Baal Perazim, and David smote them there and said, the Lord hath broken forth upon mine enemy before me, as the breach of waters. Therefore he called the name of that place Baal Perazim, that is, the plain of breaches, or the Lord. And that's one translation, right? That's the King James Version. Let's go further down. Look here, he says, and David came to Baal Perazim. Now remember, it wasn't named Baal Perazim at the time when he came there. This is, after the fact, right? So and David came to Baal Perazim, and he smote them there and said, the Lord has broken through mine enemies before me, like the bursting of a great waters. So he called the name of that place Baal Perazim, Lord of breaking through. And the Lord again that he's talking about here, the divine intervention he's talking about, is Baal. Okay, Baal. He named it Baal, not Yahweh, not Adonai, not Hashem. He named it Baal. Okay, again, showing you that Baal is Ayah and that the Israelites worship Baal according to Sam Shamoon. He's the devil. So, it's pretty clear at this point. I don't think there's anything else I have to show you that Baal Ayah, he called Baal as Yahweh, and that the Israelites worship Baal. Also that, he's claiming that, and I'm using the scriptures. I'm not using, some extra biblical writing to prove this, okay? It's in the Bible itself. I can go on, for days, because even I can give you quote you something else where when Israelites was leaving out of Egypt, they went to Baal Zephon, okay, which is a sanctuary of Baal. There was a sanctuary at Baal Zephon called, a tower or sanctuary of Baal there. So when they was leaving out of Egypt, Moses brought them to Baal Zephon for them to, in front of Baal Zephon, or the Migdal, which is the tower associated with that sanctuary, right? So why would Moses have the Israelites go back to Baal Zephon? a sanctuary of Baal. Right? So they, instead of, so they didn't go to the sanctuary of Yahweh, they went to the sanctuary of Baal when they was running away from the Egyptians. Okay? They went to Baal Zephon. So there again we see that the Israelites worship Baal, and when they were in danger, they went to the sanctuary of Baal for protection. Okay, and and also, this Baal Zephon, okay, again, it's dedicated to Baal, right? And this is one of the reasons why, from a theological perspective, Moses never entered the Promised Land, because, he was associated with negative connotations due to his association with Baal, as we see here, with the sanctuary of Baal Zephon that he had the Israelite escape to when he was running away from the Egyptian. So, all throughout the Bible, the Israelite worship Baal. There was another reference where they said not 7,000. There was only 7,000 people in the all of Israel who have not bent the knee to Baal. I forgot the exact verse, but you could look it up. And at that time, all of Israel was approximately maybe 600,000 to maybe a million people in Israel at the time. So if 7,000 people, if there was only 7,000 people that did not bow to Baal, that means that 98% of the people at the time in Israel were worshiping Baal. So we see that Israelite worship Baal from the beginning right up until now, up until the end. And the Christian, is basically doing the same thing. And again, to make another point, we constantly hear from Sam Shimon that Jesus is in the Old Testament, right? Jesus is in the Old Testament. He's the angel of the Lord. But that would mean then that if Jesus is in the Old Testament and he's the angel of the Lord, then he's Baal, right? Because and also we have to make mention of the fact that El, as in El Elyon, the deity of Abraham, El is the father of Baal. Okay, so that means that if El is the father of Baal and he's the highest of the gods, okay, then in the council of the gods, as we see in the Psalms, and Yahweh is in that council as well, but he's not the highest, El is the highest, then it would mean that Yahweh and Baal is related, okay? Whether it's El is Yahweh or Yahweh is the son of El, we know for a fact that Baal is the son of El, and Baal is the son. So, in their scriptures, where the Jews in the New Testament accuse Jesus of casting out demons by Baal-zebub or Beelzebub, then we can see how that can be related, because if Jesus is in the scripture, the New Testament, he's the son. In the Old Testament, Baal is the son. Okay? And according to the scriptures, Baal is Yahweh. And according to Sam Shimon, Jesus is Yahweh. So if Baal is Yahweh and Jesus is Yahweh, then Jesus is Baal. It makes sense. Right? Okay. So let's go on to something that's going to confirm this to a certain degree. Right? Let's look at something else. Okay, so we're going to look at something here about Baal. What it means, okay? We are specifically, we're going to look at Meribaal, okay? Let's find it here. Meribaal. Okay, hold on. Okay. All right, yeah. The name Meribaal, right? So here, Meribaal is supposedly mean the Lord contends. Baal is an agent of contention. But again, it says here that there is only one Meribaal in the Bible. He's the son of Jonathan, the son of King Saul of Israel. 1 Chronicles 8:34 on 9:40. Meribaal's story is mostly recorded in the book of Samuel, but there he's called Mephibosheth. So here we see that Meribaal's name, that I alluded to before, his name was changed from Meribaal to and Meribaal meaning contender for Baal, not contender against Baal, because in a theophoric name, you don't use the theophoric name if you are against the deity. You use it if you for that deity, if you worship that deity. That's what theophoric means. It had nothing to do, it's not, so you wouldn't have a theophoric name when the theophoric name is against the person that is using it. No, it means that they're for that person. So in this sense, instead of Baal's agent of contention, this name actually means contender for Baal or advocate of Baal. So Meribaal is meaning advocate of Baal in the sense of where they have the RIB here. It says from the verb rib, to contend, and to the verb Baal, to be Lord. So it's saying Lord of contending. But actually what it's actually saying is contending, the Lord of contending in that sense, yes, but in contention for Baal, not against Baal. So you wouldn't put Baal in your name if you were against Baal. You put Baal in your name if you're for Baal. And there's two forms of this word, and this is going to prove what I'm saying. So let's look down here. We'll go down here and take a look. The very common verb rib means to strive or contend and ranges from a mere bickering to full-scale combat. Rib means strife, dispute, or plead, or advocacy, right? The noun yarib denotes an opponent, an adversary. Meribaal refers to the places or agent of strife. Okay. Now, here, we're gonna take a look at this. Go down further. It says, okay. So here is saying that in this. Let's take a quicker look. Hold on. So the second name, Meribaal. So here we see that there's two names of Meribaal in this Bible, right? So we have Meribaal, without it, there's no B here. See, there's no, the RIB is missing. It's just Meri and then Baal. So up here, we have the RIB, and it means to contend. So down here, there's no contention, right? That the verb for contending is not there. It's Meri. And so it says Baal. So it says here, the secondary name Meribaal may be construed to contain the verb mara, meaning to be rebellious or disobedient, or marar, to be bitter or strong, and would thus be related to the name of Miriam and Mary. See that? Miriam and Mary. So not only is the name Baal related to Yahweh and to Jesus by definition, but it's also related to Mary. Because the word Meribaal actually means beloved of Baal. Okay? And Mary is beloved. And the Mary is actually close to an Egyptian name meaning beloved or heaven, in certain instances. So it's actually saying the beloved of Baal. So what they did was they changed the name from Meribaal to Meribaal because it was trying to hide the association with Baal. So they're saying that instead of beloved of Baal, which is what it actually means down here in the beginning, the original name, beloved of Baal, they try to change it to contender against Baal by using the verb, by putting in the verb to contend. Okay, but we see that the original name is still in the scriptures, and it's here. Okay, Meribaal. And this is just an idea of how the Muslims are correct when they talk about the scriptures being tampered with, whether it's the Old Testament or the New Testament. They're both tampered with, because the Masoretes, the rabbis, are trying to move away from the fact that the Israelites worship Baal. And, as we can see here, David was a big worshiper of Baal, according to the Bible itself. I'm not reading something from somewhere else. This is all in the Bible itself. Okay? So, with all of that said, I think I'm going to leave it there. I'll pretty much show you that as opposed to the Islam worshiping Baal, and that Islam is Baal worship, we see that Christianity and Judaism are Hebrew, well, that's a language, but the religion, the Jewish religion and the Christian religion are worshippers of Baal. As a matter of fact, they even equate Baal with Yahweh in their own scriptures. So it is what it is. So, with that said, I think I'm going to leave it there. I think that I've proved my point, and I'm waiting for the answer from Sam Shamoon as to why was David worshiping Satan, because according to him, Baal is Satan. And so why did David and Saul name their sons after Satan? Okay, and why were they worshiping Satan? And why did he call Baal? Why did David name the place Baal Perazim? Okay, why did the Israelites run to the sanctuary of Baal at Baal Zephron? All of this I would like to know. Because I'm pretty sure Sam knows, because according to him, again, the Muslims were worshiping of Baal, even though he didn't show you that from their scriptures or from the Bible. But I'm showing you it from the scriptures, from Sam Shamoon's own Bible, that Baal worship and Yahweh worship is the same thing, as it says in the scriptures. Baal, Ayah. Baal is Yahweh. So with that said, people, I'm going to leave it there. This is Miss Wisdom saying, I'll see you on the next one. Containing an intent to recover and reconstitute the lost origins of the myths and mysteries, types and symbols, religion and language, with Egypt for the mouthpiece, and Africa as the birthplace.